it's Cara and today we're doing a book review. Today we're talking about The Smoke Thieves by Sally Green. This is a new release book. I believe it came out, I know I picked up early, like earlier than it was supposed to have been out. Where's the info? It just says 2018, that doesn't help me. It was a couple of months ago now. A month ago maybe. And this is Sally Green's first foray into medieval style fantasy with multiple perspectives. She is the writer of Half Bad, which I am not sure where my copy of Half Bad is. Half Bad is a paranormal witchy style fantasy with one kind of main character and a really unique voice and writing style. This is obviously a cast kind of story. And we follow a bunch of characters whose plotlines don't really intertwine very much till right at the end. So first I'll go over all the characters. First we follow Catherine, the daughter of a tyrant king, and her brother is also a tyrant prince, who is in love with one of her guards and is being sent off in an arranged marriage to a prince from a foreign land. We follow her adventure. We also then follow Ambrose, who's her guard, and he's been exiled after running with her brother, and he's kind of on his own path. Then we follow Tash, who is a young girl, much younger than the rest of our characters, who would all, I say, be in their late teens. She's early teens, and she is the assistant to a demon catcher. So the one really fantasy element in this story is these demons that they live in a certain area, and when you kill them, their life force comes out of their mouth in a smoke, which you can capture and is kind of like a drug in this world. And so Tash is the bait, I guess, to catch demons because she's a fast runner, and that's kind of her role. So a bit of she's doing some illegal stuff, but she's grown up in that life. Then we have March, who is from a nation that kind of got lost in a war between two nations that were on either side of them, and they kind of got trampled in the middle and basically fully destroyed. He's one of the few remaining people, and he's in slavery to the prince of one of those nations, and he's trying to help his people, even though there's hardly any of them left, and get revenge. And then finally we have Edion, who is the bastard prince of the prince that March is a slave to, who doesn't know who he is at the very start, and March comes to kind of grab him and make everyone in a political maneuver to reveal him as the bastard prince. And thinks he's just a merchant's son and is a kleptomaniac, which is hilarious. So those are our 5 main threads, I guess, and they kind of slowly intertwine near the end. So things that I liked about this book, the list I guess is kind of short because, spoiler alert, this book for me was just okay. But I did really enjoy individually each of the perspectives. There was a decent arc of character growth and plot development. And yes, each of the characters I found individually quite likable and or interesting. But now let's get on to the negatives, because they're slight, but there's a decent amount of them. Personally, I think the amount of point of view characters in this book did this a disservice. I think it made it slower paced even when the plot itself wasn't slow paced, because you had to take time to jump between all these different characters who for the majority of this book don't seem to have a clear connection. So you've got this one thread happening over here and then another one over here that don't really intersect that much. There are a few that intersect with each other. They're kind of separate, like Catherine and Ambrose and March and Edion, but they're very much paired off, and then Tash. But so I think having so many point of views do this a disservice. It may have been better with following 2 characters through the first book and then following a different set of characters through the next book. You know what I mean? And like slowly building the plot that way over multiple books rather than trying to have everyone in this story. I think it kind of weighed it down a little. I think also some of the characters could have had some improved character development, particularly Catherine. I think it just went a bit too fast in my perspective. For Catherine, she kind of jumped personalities a bit. I also thought Ambrose as a character was a bit there just as a plot reveal, like a point reveal. He just served to be able to bring up information, and I thought that was a little bit I just didn't think he needed to have a point of view character, like point of view chapters, if that was all he was good for. Also, there were way too many nations and kings and princes to keep track of in this. I think we follow, let's look at the map. So here's our map. We don't even go to all of these places. So a lot of things happen in Calidor and Brigant over here. And we deal with Pretoria. A lot of the plot happens in Pretoria, but the war between Calidor and Brigant's important. I don't know nothing about this savant. I can't remember talking about that at all. The Northern Plateau comes in quite a bit, but you can see there's a lot of different nations here, and everyone has ruling bodies, and it's court intrigue. So we're meant to keep track of everyone, and oh, it was a nightmare. I personally found keeping track of all the characters ridiculous. There is a list of characters in the back, but that didn't help me whatsoever. I kept forgetting whose allegiance was to whom and had to go back and check. That I found a bit disappointing. I think it could have been simplified a little more, or alternatively better developed and better explained to make that less confusing. So overall, while I found this book intrinsically enjoyable, there were many things that on retrospection fell flat for me. When I was trying to tease apart what I actually found good about this book, I found it really difficult to come up with things other than just a general sense of enjoyment. While reading this book, it felt like a 3.5 star book, just average. I didn't have anything I loved, and I had a few things that irked me, but it was enjoyable enough. I think this world has the opportunity to go places and seems fantastic, but it needs to be developed more, and maybe future books will allow that development, but for me this one just didn't quite hit the mark. Also, I think for being a medieval fantasy, the magical element of the demons was very minor and very limited, and it was way more court intrigue than magic or fantasy elements, kind of more like a Game of Thrones balance where the dragons are the only real, like one of the only real fantasy elements for a long while. So it was kind of like that, where I just wanted more fantasy from it. So basically, it was alright, but I was generally underwhelmed. Comment down below if you've read The Smoke Thieves. I was so looking forward to it. Even though I had heard some mixed reviews, I was still very keen to read this. But I kind of now do agree with those mixed reviews. So let me know what you thought down below. And otherwise, I will see you soon with another video. Thank you for watching, and goodbye!